Welcome back to the program, and we obviously appreciate your valued company. Time for us to embark on our first conversation. This Thursday morning, of course, matters to do with wellness will dominate this conversation in the next 30 minutes or so, and my guests are here to help us converse around that issue. To my extreme left, that is Karla Silard, who is a child psychologist, and she has so many titles underneath her name. So when we move on, she'll be introducing herself further in respect to that. Right next to her is Edna Mbugua, who is equally an author as well as an entrepreneur. Karibu sana to the program, ladies.
Asante. Thank you.
Good job. Now, this is actually also the book that we'll be really touching so much on as we move on with this conversation. And perhaps to just begin with you, Edna, this is Tea with Mom, Stories of Mothers. You've told me 46 stories are in here.
Yes.
Tell me something more about this.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Doreen, for having us.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to be in Good Morning Kenya. I'm a fan. I always watch and I'm like, oh, it's such a nice topic. Good morning, Kenya. Yeah, so Tea with Mom is a collection of 46 stories written by men and women about their moms. And I wrote this book when I became a mom. I always want to say that I became a mom a little late in the Kenyan standards at 40.
In the Kenyan standards?
Yes, and my mom was very stressed.
What's wrong?
Like, please have a baby. And and when I became a mom, I think because I'm an entrepreneur, I run a business and I am always busy. I thought that I would handle motherhood the same way as I handle my business. I actually used to tell my friends, I'll hire people, one will be holding my boob, I'll be typing on my laptop, I'll be in my heels. I didn't think that it was a job. I thought it's something that you can actually delegate, just as probably you can do in the corporate world. But I was shocked. Because motherhood grounds you, it stops you. You stop everything. I actually stopped for 6 months. I said, let my business burn. And I was just looking after this little human being who keeps you up 24 hours. You don't stop. You don't look tired. People imagine that you're not very tired, and so I felt like there's not a lot of support for mothers because people find you very strong and they expect you actually to be strong. In fact, you're told, when I told every mother, they were like, yeah, that's what we went through, please be strong. And so for me, the inspiration to write this book was the gratitude that I felt for my own mother. I was like, Mom, you did this 5 times, she lost one, so like 6 times. How did you do that? And she started telling me about all her experiences, raising us up in Othaya, Nyeri. In the dark, there was no electricity. And so how was she making sure that we are okay at night? How was she waking up to change us, to take care of us? It was really deep. And so I wanted to talk about my mom and just praise her and honor her. And I thought other people also have mothers. And so as I talked to a lot of other people, my friends, they talked a lot about themselves in their journeys of being moms. And everybody really acknowledged the role their mother played. So we talked to men and they couldn't stop talking about their mothers. They adore their mothers. And so these stories are, you know, like a few are also from men and a lot more from women, and they're different. So there are stories that will make you laugh, others will make you cry, others will make you really recognize the role of mothers in our life. Yes.
Well said. I mean, coming to you, Karla, you are equally working on a similar book as this, and I know your forte is mostly on matters to do with trauma, and that's what you're passionate about. And we'll come to that momentarily as we move with this conversation. But also talk to me about this book that is quite similar to what Edna has written, and why for you also wanting to just talk about moms and children. Why?
Sure, yeah. Well, good morning, Kenya, and thank you for having us here.
Yes.
It's a pleasure. I am loving this country.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Say that. Yeah.
What do you like the most?
I mean, people and I mean, the nature is amazing. We went to this area to a safari yesterday, and I couldn't believe it. I've never seen something like that before. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm finding this culture similar to mine. I'm from Mexico, and people are as kind as Kenyans.
Oh, nice.
It's the love of the people that you like the most.
Yes.
All right, go ahead then. Tell me more about, you know, the similarity of the book that you're equally working on.
So I am working with women. Actually, we were down in Taita for a program called women's empowerment program, and that's what I do. I work with women around the United States, Mexico, Italy now, because we live in Italy.
Okay.
And a couple of years ago, I started working in this book. We still don't have the title, and the pandemic has slowed down our project. But we are a group of women. We are older. We already had the experience with our children, and we're writing about that. So I am also collecting these stories, and as Edna said, it's very, how can I say it? It's emotional. You can read the stories, and you're gonna laugh, you're gonna cry, you're gonna think about what motherhood is. It's not simple, and that's been my experience. So my goal is to create that awareness in women and in society. So I think a book like this one or mine have to be written, have to be out there, so women don't think that being a mother is just, having a child there, growing up like kind of automatically. Yeah. No, you have to give so much of yourself.
Yeah.
And
okay, what exactly is your inspiration behind writing a book such as that? I know that you've just alluded a bit that largely your experience, but you've also traversed different parts of the globe. You just talked about Mexico. You've also been here in Africa, in Kenya. But really, just looking at also the experiences, the stories around, what really informed you to want to talk about this, to pen the thoughts down in a book?
I see a lot of problems. I feel that children are not doing so well lately. It's been hard for them, the pandemic, and then having these devices around all the time. They're kind of disconnecting. There is more depression, there is more anxiety, and I think we need to do a better job as adults raising them. And that really touches me, to see a child that is not looking at your eyes, or they're like kind of lost, and it's hard. The kids are very fragile. I am myself a mother. That's also driven, is a passion for me to talk about these topics, because I see how the way we interact with our children is going to reflect directly to the child, and things happen. Life is not easy. We have one problem, we solve that. We have another problem coming, we solve that, and that's life. and kids are there, and if you don't help them understand and kind of if you don't help them manage difficult situations, then the kid is gonna have some anxiety, some problems. I'll give you an example. We this summer we went to Mexico from Italy, but before that we lived. It's been the pandemic has been a little bit difficult for us. We've been moving so much. We were in California before that, then Mexico, then Italy, and now in this summer we went back to Mexico, and then back to Italy, and it's been too much for my daughter. She's 6 years old now, and I just noticed that she started having this. I'm not even sure if it is alopecia. I'm suspecting. She's losing a little bit of her hair, and even though I'm doing like the best I can to explain things to her, like we're going there, we're gonna be there for a while, and we're gonna come back, and you're gonna be fine. And I really try to not stress her, right? But as a psychologist, I know that she's going.
Something is wrong.
Right, just by traveling too much, So they're so fragile, and we need to. And
oftentimes it's the mothers who bear the brunt of some of these issues, trying to want to explain to the children that this is happening because of this and that.
Exactly.
Has a way of always coming back to the mom.
Yeah. We were having a conversation on the phone a few weeks ago, Edna and I, and we were talking about how parents don't tell children what's happening. Even divorce, they're getting divorced.
Yeah.
They're moving from one home to another one. They're not explaining. They don't
changing jobs from this country to this country.
Yeah.
You know, this country to this country. And sometimes parents just imagine, you'll just get used to it. You'll understand it.
Yes.
No, we need to explain more things, to make ourselves available, to interact with them more, to play with them more, you know. That's going to be the key for mental health.
Yeah. Well said, and I can just feel the passion in which you're really talking about these issues. But let me come back to you, Edna. I know you talked about, you know, you got a child later in your much formative years, and you didn't quite imagine that the situation was as how you found it. You know, you just really thought that the way in corporate you would say, do this, type this, type that. That's how it would have been with a child, but that wasn't quite the case. So even as you're compiling the stories, I mean, 46 stories is quite a lot of stories. Just gathering stories from different people. What are some of these issues that you really found from people, basically both men and women, in how, you know, just to raise children, so to speak, or even being as mothers? What are these key issues that really do they grapple with?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Doreen. I think, as I said earlier, I think God gives us the grace, and that's what actually I said in this book, because Karla, I don't know how you feel about that, because there's no manual. There's nothing written like how we do other things. Parenting and even taking care of children is just God who gives you that grace, and it just kind of happens. And there's not a lot of support. There are not things that are written down somewhere that you're going to read and follow through. So you kind of learn on the job, and that's why it's very difficult. You're learning on the job. So you're waking up, and there's no same day for a child. Every day is different. So they're growing, they're changing. And I think that's one of the things that I found was difficult. When people talked about their mothers, and especially when because it's our age or maybe younger, talking about their mothers and the things they went through, there were a lot of challenges. And as you said, kind of comes back to the mom a lot, the weight of raising the children, explaining to them. And even in this book, there are people who told stories of how their parents separated and how they moved back to their grandmother, maybe with the mother, you know, in the villages or in the cities. And you can see a lot of what can I say? It's just like you're working in the darkness. Like you're really in the murky waters. It's a tough job. And for me, the rallying call, especially to the corporate world and even to the society, is how can we support this mother more? For example, in the corporate world, when we show up, today you and I have showed up and there are gentlemen here. The gentlemen probably slept the whole night, you know? But us, I'm not sure whether you're a mom yet, are you? I'm not asking you that question. But you can imagine a mother like myself and others. We were looking after our children. They were maybe having a fever, checking whether they're sleeping properly. You as a mother, you don't sleep. You're always autopilot. You don't sleep. You're always listening to the kids. Are they sleeping well? Are they coughing? Are they well covered? Are they warm? Well, your husband probably just sleeps very well. I've written a book here. Sorry, husband, Tony, I love you so much. But I said, goodbye sleep here. And I said how I was looking at my husband snoring.
And you just had to be up.
At the beginning, I was just the usual typical girl. And I was like, I breastfeed, you burp. And he did that for a lot of months. But then I said, let me let this guy relax. And then I took over the work. But I realized that a woman will do more.
Yeah.
You will do
by
more.
Default.
By default, yeah. And then the other things that I noticed, obviously, that are important to support is the loneliness. It's a lonely kind of journey. As much as women, we talk a lot. There are a lot of second guessing yourself. You feel lonely. You don't want to show people that you don't know what you're doing. If you find challenges, especially as your child is developing, it gets even lonelier and worrisome. So there's a lot of support that is needed, even from the society, from communities, but also to help our moms and us as women to speak up more. We should not bottle all these emotions. We need to let them out so that we are able to also, decongest because it's quite a lot. And the other thing that I noticed is that in Kenya, we get a lot of women going through postpartum depression, which is not noticed. So one of the things that you hear across the societies is people saying, since she got this baby, she went crazy. Have you noticed that our friend nowadays is not okay since she became a mother? Because people don't understand that somebody can go through postpartum depression. And if it is not addressed, then it becomes real. I'm sure Karla will talk about it's traumatic. It becomes real depression. And in our words, layman language, we can say someone is either mad or crazy or all those derogatory terms that people fear and that are stigmatized. And so a lot of mothers are bottling all that. And I like that their society, there are some groups now that have come up to address postpartum depression, and we are doing a lot of work. We have done a few talks, even with the support of some corporate organizations like Safaricom, to raise this awareness and to bring this awareness to fore and to really, really find ways of supporting moms. Yeah, so those are some of the things that I found. Of course, other great things like men celebrating how their moms cooked for them pancakes and enjoying just having chats with their moms, going home and having tea with their moms. And that's why I titled the book Tea with Mom, because that's mostly what a lot of us would do. When you go home, your mom will offer you a cup of tea in a thermos.
It's just in the nature, it never misses.
Yes.
Karla, when Edna was talking about, just some of those experiences, and she really touched heavily on how it could be a lonely, it's a good journey, but at some point it could get lonely. And really, so you agreeing on that, and on that aspect of it sometimes being lonely, and again, this is what could lead to what we call the postpartum depression, which could ultimately lead to the trauma, which is one of those areas where you're so much passionate about. I just want you to touch a bit on that, and perhaps how we can navigate that, because this is a story of many mothers as we speak.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Edna. It's very challenging. You're dealing with a change of your identity. You're dealing with so many changes in your life. Your schedule, you're not sleeping, you feel lonely, and sometimes you feel even criticized. You're vulnerable to others' opinions about how you're doing as a mother, and that's too much stress. And sometimes mothers cannot manage, and they just shut down. And the problem is that that's going to affect the child. As I was saying before, children are very fragile. A newborn not detecting the smile of the mother, or the loving look of the mother, is going to get some stress. The baby's going to be stressed as well. And that could lead little by little to a relational trauma. This is something that psychologists are talking more about, that there is trauma in the relationship with the mother or the father. There is trauma there that is not detected, because it's just a bad relationship. No, we can call it, I just didn't have a great relationship with my parents. But that's actually, that could bring this complex trauma, and you don't detect it. You just have the symptoms like insecurity or anxiety, and you don't think that it's related to the relationship with your parents, right? And that could be very, very, very challenging. There are experiments that psychologists have done with children, and it's very interesting to see how, by observing the baby body, the reactions of that interaction, you can tell that there's a big link between the well-being of the mother and the well-being of the kid. And for example, lately, with the use of the screens, mothers are too much sometimes in the screen, and they have this like neutral face. The kid is always looking for the expression of the mom, right? To make sense of his own experience right? And when they see that they cannot understand what's going on with the mother, and she's been too plain for a long time, the kid gets anxious, you know, and they mistake the face of a mother looking at the phone with depression. The kid starts behaving as if the mother was depressed. There's the same face that they cannot read. Like a mother that is depressed is not going to have these expressions or this voice, these these interactions that keep the baby alive, right? So the kid is going to be somehow traumatized. We call that complex trauma, because it's not about something that happened to the baby and you can sometimes do something about it, right? This is something that is not detected. It's nothing that happened to the baby. It's actually the opposite. It's something that is not happening, which is love and interactions, and that's not happening, and the kid is not developing the right way. So there is so much to talk about. I mean, in terms of interactions with the mother, and I think that the way out is support, as Edna said. Like the father has to be more aware and involved. The family, you know, if the mother feels criticized, she has to voice it, right? Sometimes it's with their own mother, and or by the closest people, right? She feels criticized, so she has to voice it, and she has to get strong. She has to be able to deal with the stress. She needs also, the mother needs to get the right information, not just support, but information about child development, or there are now a lot of businesses around coaching mothers, and also the League of how to breastfeed them. There is a lot of support out there, so the mother can get some more help.
I hear you, and I'm really seeing, it looks like Edna wants to chime in on that, but before I let you, there's something that you've said which I'd want you to just elucidate a bit on that, and this is when you talked about that fathers also need to support, and clearly from how you've narrated, that shows you that this could have a long-term impact on that child, and at this point the mother is just working. This is basically what she's doing. Maybe that's why they're on the phone or they're on the PC doing whatever it is that they're doing, and they're required to actually put up that straight on face, but the way it's rubbing off to the child, it's a different message. But even as you talk about fathers supporting, we are also alive to the fact that not all families would really constitute of both a mother and father. And there's this instance scenario where you're having that mother solely as the mother and father of the children or the child. So at this point, how do they get this support? Because at the end of the day, they also have to be whole and well.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's very hard, because also, you know, there are these needs, like the mother needs work, right? Or there is no time, you know, to spend with the child. So it's very, very challenging. And I think that the mother also needs to understand that if she finds the right support, if she finds another woman that is like a mother for the child, and she can relate to that, then you know, the mother is going to be less stressed. I mean, there is always someone that is going to care, or the mother needs to find someone. It could be a friend, you know, and also someone to talk to, you know. I do a lot of consulting in my private practice, and I totally see how by talking to me 1 hour a week, they improve so much.
It does go a long way. Okay, I just want to take a very, very quick breath. Of course, when we circle back, we continue this conversation. There's a lot to talk about. Just touch the surface. Yes. Time for us to take that break. We come back with both Edna and Karla just to keep talking to us about matters of wellness, of course, that intertwined with a lifestyle. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still on Good Morning Kenya. We continue pace with our conversation on lifestyle and wellness, still holding court with my guests here. That is Karla Silard to my extreme left, who is a child psychologist, as well as Edna Mbugua, who is an author. In fact, the author of the book that you're just trying to, get bits and pieces of it as you move with this conversation. But she really talked heavily on, just tying the two, wellness with the development of the child, together with the well-being of the mother. And I'd equally also want you to touch a bit on that. Just talk to us about the linkage between mental wellness or mental health altogether with the development of a child. How is this tied together? And of course, I'm talking about the wellness of the mother together with the development of the child.
Yeah. Thanks, Doreen. I think for me, from my experience, and that is the reason why we're calling for this deep support, is because if the mother is okay, the baby will be okay. If the mother is happy, the child will be happy. And we have seen, even in our societies, like for example in Nairobi, we have seen when the city council is harassing the mother who is carrying a little baby, and the child will cry and they'll feel traumatized. If you look at, some people say that these children are not theirs, but when you look at these mothers on the streets carrying these little babies, you can see even their faces are worried, they are traumatized, they are not happy. And that is also like what we see at our homes. If the mother is not happy, or say the home environment is not safe, we'll see the children will also be traumatized, or they may also grow up because of that trauma. They may also suffer some issues, even later. We have seen all these things that are leading to drug abuse, depression, and in our societies, traditionally we would say maybe like a father, like son, or we would just say that family, they're like that. But I think what I have learned is that a lot of attention is not being paid to the societal issues that affect families. And those, she said she's a consulting psychologist, so she may be talking to someone maybe once a week. Here we don't have a lot of that support, especially in this country. Most of the time when you say that you want to see a counselor, or like people tell you that you need to see, hey, people are like kuna shida gani? It looks like it's almost like stigmatized. People don't want you to, there's a stereotype of like, hey, are you crazy? Like, you're seeing a shrink? Is it, so it's not an ordinary thing that I will walk to.
And some would even tell you, we've been here before, you're not the first mother, you would be the last one, you're not the first one to go through this, you would be the last one. But sometimes don't understand the magnitude.
Exactly. And even these people who, like my grandmas, 2 of them had over 10 children, and they raised them, and they did great. May they continue to rest in peace. But what we're saying is that they probably also faced challenges, and along the way overcame them. So it doesn't mean that because you have raised 10, like you're so strong. And I think for me, what I'm saying is that I think we need to drop the word strong and say, let us be mothers of strength. Mothers of strength, not strong mothers, because you can be a strong mother. You need a hug, you need support, I mean, sometimes I just say, I just want to close my eyes, and I tell my husband, please just look after our baby, or just hold me, please. I just want to the TLC, and that it's 3 a.m. at night, and he would do that. Thankfully, because he understands. He's been there, he's raised children. So I think that is what we are saying. Let it not look like you're weak when you're asking for help. Let it not look like it's because you're weak or you're not. It's not like everyone is like, it's because you're coming in late. You should know how it has been for us who did it, I don't know when. It is the same. I think it is important for us to be vulnerable and to accept that vulnerability is okay. It is okay for us to allow ourselves to ask for help. And it is also okay for us to support even when we are not asked.
There's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with your boss saying, would you like to take a day off?
My boss is listening.
Yes, your boss should be listening. I recognize that you've been breastfeeding the whole night. We would let you, rest a bit, or even provide opportunities like what we are seeing corporate organizations doing, building nice creches where moms can come with their babies, and in between breaks, they can go and look at their, after their kids, or just see them. It's not a bad thing. People say mothers are crazy. Every time in the office, they're always calling this. How is my child? Is he smiling? Is he eating? Yes, that's who we are, and we are worried. We just want to know the baby
and
is
some
okay.
would say, when you're at work,
it's actually normal. No, it's normal. Let us normalize motherhood.
Yeah.
Let us normalize the challenges that come with it. Let us normalize those conversations. Let us normalize conversations of asking for help. Let us go to doctors like Karla and ask just to talk for 1 hour about nothing. It's about a lot. I think let us normalize those things. If somebody needs to talk, let them talk. Let us open the society and have those conversations. I think we are still in a developing country, so we have a lot more, maybe bigger challenges of food security and other things.
That will imagine what is talking compared to the issues.
But for me, I believe that a mother is taking care of the next generation. So because we are guaranteeing the next generation and we want it to be whole and well, let us also support that, because it's a very important aspect of the children that we're going to bring, who are going to take this country to the next level. So it's a big role, and it's a topic that requires conversations, and we need to be on the table.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, you saying that it's a third world country. We are in Africa. Africa is our business, and right now there's a lot that we're talking about: food security. You're talking about issues of drought, climate change. That we're thinking, okay. So here, sitting with Karla and discussing about my issue, how is that important compared to me getting food on the table? But this is your business. This is what you do, and you just gave that example that you would sit an hour plus just talking about these things. These issues that mothers or women, so to speak, are grappling and are facing. Even in that practice, what are some of these biggest contentious issues that you've come across, and how do you tell them to deal with? Because I believe it's issues that cut across nonetheless.
Yeah, resilience. I've seen in my trip to Taita, I've seen mothers that are very resilient. They, because they've struggled, so they can do like beyond what they can give. They can give like everything they have, right? They do their best.
Yeah,
that's one thing. A mother is always going to try to do her best, but if the mother herself is stressed, then she's going to think she's doing her best, but she's not, and she doesn't know she can do better. But just taking a pause, and then patience. Patience. We as mothers, we're very patient. We wait for the first teeth, and then we wait for the baby to speak. We're always waiting, and we're learning patience, right? So I think patience is very, very important. If a mother is too anxious about things and wants to everything to work well and is very anxiously, even desperate, if the mother is like that, then that's going to reflect. If the child spills the milk, the mother is going to react strongly if she's not calm, right? But if she's calm and the baby spills the kid spills the milk, the mother's going to say, don't worry, let's clean it, and the kid is going to learn that everything is okay. The kid is not going to be in stress. The kid is going to feel like, okay, I do something wrong, but we can fix it, and the kid is going to learn. But if the mother is stressed and just reacts very strongly for everything, then things are going to get even more complicated. So resilience, peace, money, and patience.
Yeah.
Patience.
But again, also there's this things that even as a child, you do not have control over, and we've seen them catching up with that child even at an advanced age or stage as an adult. Some of those traumatic issues, some of those examples that you've given. So then how do you navigate this? And even in your practice, because you practice a lot of the child psychology and dealing and talking with them, how then do you come off this? It's something that you didn't have control over. There's nothing you would have done as at that time as a child, but now you're growing and it's still affecting you based on how things transpired or things happened while you're growing up. Some of those traumatic issues. How do you work around those?
Yeah, well, therapists therapists do a lot of introspection. Like, we try to generate these insights, you know, try to make our clients to think through, to really take a look at what they're experiencing and where it's coming from. And usually from my experience, when a mother is that stressed and like almost desperate and anxious, it's because her mother was like that. It kind of passes through generations. You're not calm. It's the way you learned to be in that kind of relationship.
So wait a minute. So what you're saying is that you just don't decide, sort of like there's a history behind it?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It comes from very deep inside. So that's part of of creating this awareness, you know? Like, mothers really need to go inside themselves and understand why they're like that. Feelings are our guides. So if a feeling is insisting, there is a reason why. If a mother is all the time angry, there is something that needs to be fixed. Anger is telling you need to fix something, you know. Or if a mother is sad continuously, there is something that needs to be done, and that's why there are guides, you know, our feelings.
Okay.
So going into those feelings and learning more about it is going to help. You know, that's why I was telling before that the mother needs support, but also go to the right sources of information, you know,
Yeah,
to understand how they can approach it. Because motherhood is something very emotionally very complex.
Okay. All right. Well said. And you're already pressed for time, and I want to give you the last word, Edna, on this one, just to get your headline thoughts in under 1 minute. Motherhood is complex, so moving forward, it will never end. It's here to stay. It was there before.
Yes.
It's here to always be there.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I think,
in 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Doreen. I think we'll just say, let us enjoy the grace that God gives us, because it's obviously just God's grace that allows us to perform this role, and let us continue seeking for support. I like what Karla has said. Let us also get the right information. So we need a lot of information out there, like what we are doing now. Let us create the awareness that there are these challenges and this is how you can solve them. So obviously we need to call for more books to be written, even on the how to. I think Google has a lot of the how to be a mom or how to do this and that, and I think we need a lot of that awareness, a lot of information out there. For mothers, let's continue reading. Let us continue working with the support groups that are available. I like all these WhatsApp groups that are coming up, all the groups in the society that are coming up. They are great. Let us continue joining those groups so that we are supported. Let us enjoy that support and sharing of information, so that we are better, and also so that we can raise the next generation powerfully. And finally, please buy a copy of Tea with Mom, because it's a very enjoyable book to read, and we are continuing to tell the stories of mothers. So I look forward to doing a lot more of that work. And for all the moms in Kenya, I appreciate you, the biological moms, the adoptive moms, the step moms. You are awesome, and you're doing a great job.
All right, well said. Good place to end it. Thank you so much, ladies, for making time.
Thank you.
I have been speaking to Karla Silard, to my extreme left, who is a child psychologist. Right next to her has been Edna Mbugua, an author as well as an entrepreneur, of course, just giving us their thoughts, their insight concerning the issue that is wellness intertwined with matters lifestyle and motherhood. Good place to end this conversation, but Good Morning Kenya still is on. Plenty more coming away after this breather. Stay with us.
Thank you.